Well, it says we're live. Are we live? There's the numbers. Are they counting yet? Here we go. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome aboard to Dreamy Dreamland with your Sensei Al Bob. And I is he, and we are all together. So don't remember a word I say. Remember, God just tells you a story to make you think, and what you do with that, it's up to you. And this is a show not for children. So I would suggest any clerics or politicians or scholastics leave the show, and anyone else of infantile nature. But otherwise, everybody chat away. Let's hear what you got to say. So here we are. Let's see. It's Tuesday, I think. Is it Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. And it's kind of sunny out. And tomorrow probably will rain. And tomorrow will be my cooking day, right? Cooking day. And so that's where we're at with that. And what else? Still difficult getting. I went through all the paperwork, and still, the out-of-pocket expenses are ridiculous. What I need to stay alive will cost me about $2,500 a month. It's like, really? Even after I went through all of this Part D and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, yeah. And we can't even tell you what it is unless you get your doctor to put in this prescription, right? And once we fill it out, you can't go anywhere else, and we got you. So, really, so how many feel like, I like Donald Trump. Actually, I love Donald Trump because he's a wrecking ball, right? And he has done more to destroy this country's business as usual, which is a great thing. Now we really have to deal with misogyny. Now we really have to deal with John Birmingham, infantile nature. Anyway, so what do you think of Jesus, John? How about the New Testament? Why do you like the New Testament over the Old Testament? Old Testament is great. Old Testament is kind of like Archie meets Happy Days meets Penthouse Forum. That's the Old Testament. It's a lot of begatting going on there. And so, what are you thankful for, John? I'm living on about $6,000 a year, and boy, everything froze last night, but nothing broke. That's the amazing thing, man. It's cold when you get out of the snuggy, comfy 14 pounds of blankets you have on top of you to go on the commode and pinch a loaf, and your butt freezes to the seat. It's that cold. Your sweaty butt freezes immediately to. Luckily, my hot butt thawed out the seat quick enough, and so I wasn't really stuck. But it's a person. Oh, look at that! My butt is frozen through the seat. That's when you know it's cold. And really, the only thing you got is your electric blanket to keep you warm. Which, amazingly, those things are. You must be cooking us like turkeys or something because it is really toasty. So, John, did you get a cord of wood? Are you making? Up at the school, there is an amazing. John had a roommate named Tim, and Tim was amazing. John has free internet because of Tim. You know, he was paying a couple $100 a month for that before Tim put that in, right? And the other thing Tim put in was an amazing wood stove in the basement. Our whole basement is concrete and stone all the way up through the next floor up. And he had this wood stove that just kicked. 3 logs would keep the whole school warm, right? 3 logs, 6 a day keeps the whole school warm. That's all it took, right? And it just took you, your little Boy Scout needs to, or wherever you learned how to campfiring. So you got to do, little cardboard, a few kindling sticks, a log next to it to grow on, and then one over it and start it up. Bingo. It catches. You let it get hot, 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 and once the box is hot, whatever you put in there will burn, right? So you put another log on the other side of the wall, and then you stack up 2 or 3 logs on top of those 2 logs, and it's all cooking nice, and that will keep your house warm for 6 to 12 hours, right? Those 4 to 6 logs. And then after that, it's just 2 logs, right? So the school is unbelievable. It's one gigantic heat sink, and John did a great job fixing it up. And John, saved the school. I was living in it, well, barely. I was like, I live down by the river in a van. The school was my van. So, but John, he fixed it all up. He painted the floors, amazing. He painted everything. It's amazing. It's really amazing. And the school needed that, and John needed the school. But John, you're not answering my question. What do you think of Jesus? Is Jesus just a guy taking money? It's a big, good house. It's a school. It was built to be an art school. It is an art school. It's got little rooms for the students to live in. It's a downstairs kitchen for everybody. The basement is like the classroom. It's all good. And the top was just a deck, and then they plopped the top on top of that, and it's a sacred space. That was the other thing about the school. I keep calling it the hill. And why do you love Jesus, John? What is the existential, theologic, and philosophic things that are in your heart about Jesus? Jesus, to me, is the prime example of Homo sapien being what it can be, connected to God. Most mud puppets basically go to church once a week and fall asleep, and once in a while they'll have a moment of thought, about how we're all love's creation, But mostly no. Mostly it's you took my parking spot. Oh, I hate that person. Yeah, they made me feel fat. It's my father's fault. No, none of the above. We live. Jesus, why Jesus was so amazing. And you read the New Testament, and it's like those flunkies, Larry, Moe, and Curly, writing it along with Mark and John and Flippy and all those guys who wrote the New Testament. If you read it, what's quite interesting, all of them tell the same story about the same incidents. They're all on the same laundry list. There aren't, Jesus had these guys for 3 years. You'd think they'd have lots of stories instead of the same, thing on the mountain and the fish and the bags of wheat toast and so it's pretty obvious that whoever wrote the New Testament didn't know Jesus, because when you read all of the Greeks talking about Jesus and all of the Romans talking about Jesus, that's the more interesting info. What Pontius Pilate wrote about, in his communique. And that's the beauty of the Romans, man. They were bureaucrats, so they wrote a lot of stuff. And it was interesting, his take on it. See that anywhere in, Holy Roman Church there. Anyway, so let's see. Oh, I love John's chatting here. It's like beat poetry. Ha ha ha! Infinite nature. Yes, he helped. It's a big good house. No way. Yes, I love Jesus. That's not true. If that's not beat poetry, I don't know what is. And that's the beauty of John. Have any of you seen his video, him singing? What are you singing? Doobie doobie doo, da 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 da. Adolf Hitler. What are you singing? And your hair is green. I mean, you gotta, green and red and white. Those, that's the. I think it's the Italian flag, really. What else? So I had this idea that John and I should drive through America during the pandemic and get a pinch of what's going on. I think it would be ground shattering. If anyone had seen Mickey from Boston, Jimmy from Boston, somebody from Boston, and early on days he was driving up and across north and south, no, east and west, kept all over the place. He was everywhere looking at end of times, and that was 6 months ago. Haven't quite happened. Boo 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 boo. Let's see who's there. Hey, Last Rights, good to see you, buddy. Are you staying warm? The fall, winter, fond memories of the house, friends, chats of school a few months winter ago. Yep. Well, I'm out in the woods. I have no place to stay. Last 2 winters, and basically from 2015 and 16 and bits of 17, I was with John at the school. And then he started throwing me out, and I found really interesting, every time John threw me out, I had an interesting, exciting adventure. I never would have, 32 adventures. One, I went downtown and just kind of was looking around, and I had a friend who just gotten a new post at a church, and he needed someone to be the community activist guy. And so he let me sleep in the closet, and I had to get out by 6 before the old ladies found it. But, that was great, so I had that. And then through that, he wanted me, because they had this big, beautiful church, could fit maybe 600 people in there, and they had 40, if that. And they wanted to not have the church die. So, went out and got poor people and people of color and people of different discerning tastes. And it was swinging a hot spot. We had music on Fridays, like it was the upstairs was the nightclub, downstairs was the No Fear Cafe. We had No Fear Tuesdays, when anybody who wanted to do anything positive could come and organize. We had, a place where people could stay warm, and out of that, I kind of got exposed to the LGBTQ RSTUV community, and that was interesting. And I lived in a tranny house. That was quite interesting. And then John, I need you watching, because that's kind of right around the time when I was doing the old crone videos and the Jimi Hendrix videos and the storytelling videos that would get 70, 80,000 views and go viral. And so I said no, and I stayed, down in that community. And then that changed. And then I had another place I hung out, just like Rod was talking about, fond memories of those friends, chats from school. Yep. And that was fun. And we had some ideas of making change in Roanoke, and we tried. And of course, that didn't go very far. Because unless you're ready to put people on the streets, not going to happen. That's kind of, oh yeah, we'll change. And that's the same thing, the thing that happened with Black Lives Matter, because it wasn't just Black Lives. It was, hey, we all matter. And it was, There were more people on the street this summer than were out and about during the Vietnam War. You know, all the years of 6, 7, 10 years of anti-war movement didn't even come close to the few weeks of what Black Lives Matter had. And the people smashing and crashing and burning were obvious, plants, provocateurs, paid plants. Let's see. Boo, 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 boo. Too dangerous. COVID-19 is a killer and sucks. Well, this is true. But, we got these great vaccines coming any day now. And I'm lucky. I'm in the old part thing. They'll shoot me up first, see if I die. I had this amazing, I've been having amazing dreams um, pretty much all summer and fall. Spring too, but I can't even remember it that far back. But so staying with John was great, and he threw me out 32 different times, and 10 o'clock at night, darker than dark. Get out! I can't take it. You're closing me. I said, John, can't we just wait till the morning and I'll leave when sun's up? Oh no, get out now! I had no place to go. He did about 32 times, but every time he did that, something amazing would come up, and I got pretty good at feeling when he was about to do it and getting all prepared. So all I had to do is, get in my car and drive away. I didn't have to, like, pack things up. I pretty much, that's why I have it always looks like I'm living in this car look, because I got everything I need. I can just get and drive away, right? Whatever it is. And so, that's when one of the other amazing trips was I went to see the folks I know who I helped rebuild their town in West Virginia, up there off of 220, where 66 cuts up from across from DC. Anyway, I went over there and there was nobody around, and I was in this diner, and this girl, who really well dressed, was spare changing it at the door. And I said, yeah, let me buy you breakfast and you can tell me your story. And so I did, right? And this girl was in her early 20s. She was she was from Georgia, Atlanta, I think, or neighborhood of, and came from a well-heeled family and went to private college and graduated. And, she went to look for her dream job, but they laughed at her saying, well, really? No way. If you wanted this job, you should have been interning, 3 summers ago. Then you might get this job. But she was rich, and she went to France on her summer holidays, things like that. So anyway, she knew that she was just going to have to take any job. So a bunch of her well-to-do friends who were in the same position as her, who went to the same private school as she did when she was a little girl, and they all got snowflake trophies when they played soccer, even though the gym teacher may have made sense they were fat, but not. And anyway, so she told me this whole story, and that she and a bunch of her friends were out in the national forest in a abandoned log cabin, and they were all freezing, and she came down to spare change some money and buy food. So I said, oh, I got food in my car, which I always do. I always have canned food in the car just in case, right? In the can opener. So I said, I'll cook you guys some dinner. Let's go see where we're at. So we drove back, and I, had just filled the tank up. So I had like 400 miles range. So we drove about 50 miles. I was amazed that she got to where she was from where she was out there in the middle of the woods. And we stopped, and there were about 2 guys and 3 girls. And this girl, 4 girls, 2 guys, 6. And the guys were, who knows what their orientation was. I had no idea. But I looked around, and this log cabin had been there a long time, and it had a big fireplace, big stone fireplace, and it had a wood stove that you cooked on, right? Cooktop wood stove. And and chimneyed out very nicely. And but the chinking had, the wind was whistling through the place, and the windows were, some. But there was tons of candy wrappers and Burger King wrappers and stuff that you could stuff into Nook. So I said, okay, let's start stuffing. And boys, come on outside. And I had them start to collect. I said, so we need wood. Oh, we had to go to Lowe's and buy some wood to burn. I said, no, it's like right here on the floor. And they go into there's no wood on the, no, I said, forest floor, right? Let's go. Went out there and they got a few little brambles, cut their little hands. And they went running into the house, right? So the girls came out and, and I said, so any logs that are, this big, bring them in, right? And so, and all kinds of limbs would bring them to the side of the house. And so I had the boys breaking the limbs, making kindling. And I started a fire first in the fireplace. And the fireplace had one of those swing arms that had a big cast iron pot. I was going to cook in that. So we started a nice fire and we chink everything up. We stop the breeze from coming in. And it's all good. We're having a grand old time. And I cook them up a great meal. We tell stories. And of course, they got, their party favors. And we have a great night of it, right? So next day, I said, okay, so we need to clean up some more, need to get more chinking, more wood. It's going to snow in a little bit, so we really have to start bringing some wood into the cabin, to keep us warm. Because the roof was pretty dry. It wasn't really wet inside the thing. So anyway, we chinked more, got more wood, and we go, and so our circle gets bigger and bigger as we clear the wood out, right? And we get to a point near this stream, and I'm kind of sitting on a big log, looking around where's, fallen stuff and broken branches, and say, go grab that, and drag it over the house. And they were dragging it over there, and then we were kind of breaking it up. And I had a little hatchet in my car and a little saw, right? Woodsman saw. And so they started cutting stuff down, and and we started a fire in the wood stove. It's killer wood stove, and it was a big cast iron frying pan. So we had a big Dutch oven that swung over the fire and a big frying pan. So had them scratch it out, clean it up. We gathered water. I had a bunch of gallon water jugs in my car, and went and got some. There was actually a well that with a Johnny pump that you could pump, and it actually frigging worked. And so we, got water and heat, and I had still a bunch of canned stuff in the car, so I'm still making meals. And I'm sitting on that log looking around, and in the periphery of my vision, I see something's moving over here behind a tree, right? So I just kind of stay there. And I tell the guys to go further away over there, and I kind of, run my butt closer to that blurry thing over here and stay on the log. And so about 20 feet from this big tree that the blurry things were behind. And I said, okay, guys, why don't you come on out? And out came about 6 soldiers, and kind of desert, but green. I mean, it was desert. Obviously these people came from Iraq and Afghanistan. That was their camo, but they had sprayed green on it, so they were, could fit into the green. So, but they totally were outfitted. I mean, they had no insignias on, but they had everything else, and they all had their automatic weapons and their sidearms and everything else. Their 60 or so pounds of survival. Their tarps and ropes and tents and stuff, bed mat, pillow, extra socks. Anyway, 6 of them, and there were 4 girls and 2 guys, just like this other group. These people were seriously trained. And I said, so why aren't you guys in there? He said, well, we basically found that place and were scoping it out, and then these kids arrived and went in, and they were such wusses that they needed the we have a little camp down by the stream. Yeah, I kind of saw that. Anyway, and they said, yeah, we kind of saw that you saw it, but left it alone, and so we came to investigate you. And I said, so why don't you band with these guys? They really need your help. And so they did, and so that was about 4 days, right? And on the fourth day, this girl of the rich set, her, in her bag, her handbag, her phone rang. And it was an iPhone. And one of those army guys had a photocell. And she charged up her phone and bingo, it rang. And it was her aunt calling her saying, honey, I'm only about 50 miles from where you are. Your mom wants me to give you a car and some money. So come on by, give me a call, and I'd love to see you, and don't bring any of your friends. Just come by yourself. I don't like people. And that was, her message. So the girl said, oh, let's go, can you drive me? And I said, yeah, I can drive you. So we go there, and the girl sees her aunt, and basically her aunt has a car, right, that she's going to lend her, not give her, because that would be too complicated. So she put the girl on the insurance, and anyway, so she gave her like $2,000, in cash, and we went over to the supermarket, and she was loading up the car with vittles, right? And I'm getting a little, something, and she actually, before as we go, into the supermarket, she rolls up a few Benjamins and goes, here, none of this would happen without you. So I said, thank you very much. So I put that away. And so we're in the supermarket and we're buying carts of food, and we're waiting online, and there's this woman behind me, and she kind of looks like the Michelin Man, tire after tire after tire after tire, and she's like rubbing my arm, like, and I have a Michelin jacket too, so she's like, and I kind of look at you, nice. Are you a handyman? Are you this girl's handyman? And I go, well, I'm a friend, and I'm handy, and she goes, I have a big house, and she pulls out this photo album, and she's got an unbelievable, 7-bedroom, 7-bathroom, amazing estate. I'm here with my mother, and we need a handyman, someone who can take care of business. And she's throwing out all these onomatopoeias, and so I look at the girl and go, I pretty much set the army guys and these kids up to make a good, happy band. Now they got a car, and I got some money, and a phone that works. My business is done. I think I'm going to spin the wheel of crazy and go with the Michelin woman, right? So I go with her, and she has this big house, and nothing works. They're freezing. Little control mechanism isn't controlling. It's just not letting anything happen. So I kind of go in there first things first, and see, oh, wow, there's a big tank of gas. It's all gassed up. It's all ready to go. And so I basically turned off the other gizmos and just had the gas thing work. Hit the pilot button, hit the on button, poof, and, within 5 minutes, the whole house was 70 degrees. Went from 36 degrees to 70, right? And, oh, this is so beautiful. Oh, you're so great. You're a handyman, And I got no thumbs. There were 4 of you, and there were no thumbs up. So anyway, yeah, I need a place to hold up. So, those 2 winters with John, he kept throwing me out, and I would have these amazing adventures. Really, the last time that happened, I hadn't really been, I had been in the deep green for most of that summer, right? Really nothing to do with John. And he said, "Oh, please come back. Please, you can come back." And I said, "Okay, John, I got a few things to do, so I'll come back, right? But, you can't just throw me out. So I drive up and I bring food to make him a nice dinner. And we're eating dinner and he screams. And what happened was I had a blender, old blender. And I don't know if any of you are privy to ancient kitchen electric appliances, but the little motors have these brushes, right? And after years of doing this, a bunch of carbon that becomes residue on these brushes, and they kind of spark. And so I'm using this thing, and the smell of the carbon, "You're trying to poison me. It came up. I saw it come up from the blender and go through the window and come around the corner, and I nearly got." And he went nuts and kicked me out. And it was about 10 o'clock. Just finished cooking dinner. Just finished eating, and I was just finished putting everything away and cleaning up when he started screaming at me for trying to murder him by the scent of the blender. And he said, "You have to leave." I said, "John, look, it's 10 o'clock. I can't see. My eyes are bad. I don't even think, get down the driveway. Come on, I'll leave in the morning." "No, you got to go back. Come on." And I was like, and it wasn't like it was dark. It was still, it was summertime, right? It was September. So I drive down the hill, I make it. I get onto the county road, make it, get kind of into suburban neck of the woods where I know I can go down a cul-de-sac and park there because there are no houses there. There's nobody there. Nobody built anything yet. No cops go there. And I could sleep there relatively comfortably without being, rousted. So I'm sitting there and my phone works. And so I call up everyone, "Hey, you got a couch for me?" "Yeah." And all I get is, it's summertime. People are out. And so, and this is probably 2015. No, it's probably 2017. John went to school, I think, around 2015. Anyway, so I call up everyone and I'm kind of dozing off. It's about 9 o'clock. And the last refuges of a little sunlight is, the sky is still a little pink. And the phone rings. And it's one of my friends. "Oh, Al, where are you?" And I tell him, I said, "I know exactly where you are. I'm going to come and get you with a friend. And we're going to an amazing party, right? And they've been putting this gas pipeline right through the AT and the Blue Ridge Mountains, right at Roanoke, right? And so it can tie in with other gas pipelines that are in the valley there. So anyway, this thing is ripping up and the kids are, tying themselves to trees and, trying to slow them down and bring them to court. And what's really interesting, there are 32 states that, since Black Lives Matter, have passed laws in their state legislators that make it a felony, at least 5 years in jail and at least $90,000 fine to demonstrate against gas and oil pipelines and any other extraction thing in your state, and also Israel. And it's fine if you want to march on your state capital carrying loaded automatic weapons, but it's a felony if you have a sign that states anything with gender, race, or economic inequality. About 32 states have that on the books. You go to jail for at least 5 to 10 years. And that's worse than what's going on in Hong Kong. So how about some thumbs up, kids? There's 3 of you. One of you can throw one up there. So this was a party for those kids. And there was a rich lady who had been bankrolling the anti-pipeline because they were going to put it right across her beautiful estate. And they were going to use, eminent domain. So she couldn't take her lawyers, take them, So the kids were up there in the trees. So she had a big party and she had bands and great food and great beer and big place to camp out. and the party went on for 3 days. So my friends came and got me. His buddy drove my car. I got into his car. We drove up to Floyd. That's where it was, up in Floyd. And this party went on for 3 days. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. People started going home. And it was just one heck of a great party. And I would not have gone if it wasn't for John throwing me out. And that is the beauty of John, is that he constantly does things that most people would say, how could you? That's heartless. Oh, that's terrible. But it always turns out to be the most amazing thing, right? So I haven't really been up to school for at least 2 years, give or take. And I think next May it will be 2 years. Bingo. But it's been 2 summers that I haven't been up there. And so the last 2 winters, a friend of mine who was rich around this neck of the woods, really dirt poor people, or people where their 5th and 6th house. And then they kind of have it hooked up to, Airbnb, and they rent it out for the other time. So anyway, one guy has this one amazing place on the lake that he spent $3 million, and it's supposed to be an Airbnb, but he charges something like $5,000 a weekend, right, for someone to rent. It's well worth it. It's like amazing. I mean, you could, I think he has at least 15 rooms with their own bath. I mean, it's like a hotel right on the lake. Really beautiful, really manicured. And his tax lawyer gets, so no one rents it out. So he gets to take off his $1 billion taxes, millions of dollars, for no one renting out his $1 million house on the lake. It's like, so there are those people who live on the lake, very few. And then people like poorer than me, right? And I live on $6,000 a year, right? And my my medicines, if I get them, I've signed up for everything. I get Part D, blah blah blah, and it's still, instead of costing $3,800 a month for my medicines, it costs $1,900, half as much, kind of. And that's what everyone around here is. Even the rich people, I was in a friend of mine's who's, he's well-to-do. He owns half the town. And the UPS man showed up, and it was his, medicines being direct mailed to him. And he gets the same medicines, but, his Part D and his insurance, he pays $3 for 90 days. And they wanting me to, out of my pocket, pay $1,800. There's something wrong there. And that's why I wanted to take John across America, right? I have a friend of mine wants to give me a car, and I want John to paint it, right? And we drive across America, and, the Dumber and Dumber dog car, but John would paint it instead of it looking like a dog and carpet. We could. I mean, whatever John wants to do. So, in my last 3.5, 4 years of dealing with John, it's been a blessing. Here it is, 2 days before Thanksgiving. I have to say thank you, John Birmingham, right? Because he is so outside the box, outside the solar system, the galaxy. He is. I mean, go look at his most recent one where he's painted his hair green and he's singing, or the one where this is going to be the longest, I'm going to not stop singing, period. Even if I go to the bathroom, I'm going to sing. It's like, light years from now, they will be looking at John Birmingham as a religion. So, That's all I need is thoughts of kindness because it works out. So 2 winters ago, one of my rich friends, he wanted to go visit his kids, but he's like a gentleman farmer. He's got some animals, but he's not a real farmer. And so he said, "Why don't you watch my farm? You can stay up here, and I got loads of food in the fridge, and just take care of the animals. They like you." So I did. He's a bunch of dogs, a bunch of cats, a couple cows, a bunch of goats, a bunch of chickens, a bunch of turkeys, and so I took care of everybody, right? So that's what I guess that was the winter of 2018, right? What's that? And that was very nice. And then he had really nice house, heat, really nice. And said nice big foam bed, yummy, yummy. So then last winter of 19, my neighbor a couple miles away had a heart attack. And so he ended up in a hospital, and he's got a bunch of animals. Just take care of my animals. And it was nice, again, I mean, he's got some really nasty dogs, but they like me, so it was all good. So everything works out. And John is this kind of tuning fork that sends a vibration through it. And instead of getting pissed off or bent out of shape, I just, use it as, it's like how I, late at night, when I wake up at 3, right, and relieve myself, and then instead of going back, I'll saunter over and turn on the radio and listen what the BBC has to say, and what Radio Russia and Radio China and Radio France, and they all have their own English channels, and Radio Israel and Radio Muslim Land, and I listen to all of that. Then I turn on the AM, and I get to skip. So I get AM in America is all talk radio, even late at night. So you get Coast to Coast and a few other wacko shows. You get the usual suspects, the replay of Hannity and Fox, and the replay of MSNBC, and replay of whatever. And but the talk radio I like. So I sit there and I'm listening to these people from outer Slobovia calling this station and talking about, we got to do something about blah, 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 blah. And I just sit there in my keyboard and click away. And if you go to any of my, like Legend Cut number 8, I haven't really put that up there, but just go to Legend and you'll see 30 or 40, 50, 60 pages that have been, that's what the book's going to be, kind of, pretty much, somewhat edited. But from that point on, there's another 200 pages of all just kind of wacko stuff out of my head. Stuff like this. I listen to the radio and I just click, type it into that document. And then I take it out and then I use it as the dialogue of my characters and sometimes to define the character. So that's my process. And let's see, how long have we been on here? Almost an hour, 44 minutes. What time is it? Oh, it's noonish. Let's see.
Those vaccines that's made available to me, that's authorized by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Later on, if it turns out that the length of protection is not so long, or if there's...
So, how about some thumbs up, kids? Come on, if 4 of you, one you can throw out there. Or anybody wants to go on my Gmail account, which is dudeawake42 at Gmail, and leave a personal little ditty. A number of you do, and thank you for all of them. And my PayPal is there, so you want to put anything in that, which is always really, 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 I mean, that's how I eat. That's how I keep warm. I have a little bit of electricity, my electric blanket, a little space heater, but if I put that space heater up to make my box warm, it's almost $4 an hour. I can't afford that. And I can, turn the heat on so my butt doesn't freeze to the toilet seat, but not to keep it really warm. So, that's why I'm wearing these coats. They were on sale at Walmart. right off the bat, they were $32, but when they were getting rid of them, they were $6 a piece. And they were made of some unbelievable space material that keeps you really warm. You put 2 of these things on, wow, toasty. So, I have my little tricks to stay, warm enough not to die. But, I slip, I fall, nobody here. I am like the poster child of self off the grid, So, I'm open for, anyone who wants, a griot to come to their house and tell them stories. And I've been, the most quarantined guy. I don't see anybody, so I'm good against 19. And, 19, my attitude, I've died 6 times already. So whenever I'm going. I don't really care. I'm just here to serve, to be your sensei, your griot, tell you stories, give you a little advice, a little laugh, a little something that you can look forward to, and that's what I'm here to do. And let's see. So it's been, it's been livable. Like last night it was cold. Last night went down in the 20s, and about a week ago it went down to 17. Now it's cold when it's like 17 during the day, and it goes 20 degrees below 17. That's when it's cold. And I haven't had to live through that in a prolonged state ever. I've lived in it for a long, I was in a tent and put in, we had shelter that was, you went inside, it was toasty in there. But outside, it was nippy. The North Pole, but south. Its own little continent, whatever they call that. Atlantis, I think. No, I don't know. So anyway, it's good to see Ride. It's always good to hear from him. Always nice to hear from John. And so, people go, how can you stand the guy? And I say, John is truly an amazing guy. And he is my friend, and I don't give up on my friends. And, I know when the storm is coming. I know, his moods. And so it's and that's why I haven't been up there for 2 years. Let John see what it's like all by his lonesome. And that's never a good place to be. If you cannot keep yourself busy, can't, occupy yourself, if you're not happy with who you are, it's tough being all by yourself. It really is. And that's kind of showing up on the stats of this 19 thing when people are being forced to stay at home. I mean, there's higher suicide than in there. I mean, forget the deaths from, not forget, but it's not just the deaths of 19. It's the ODs, OxyContin and all the rest, fentanyl, are taking, almost as many people, really. And if you stick all of the suicides since last January together, you see a spike like, where did that come from? It came from us being stuck in our house and not used to being thoughtful people, right? So, anyway, where are we? 49. So, I'm going to leave some time before 1 hour. Let's see, put the little guy right there. Got things to do, people to see. And